Robinson, it's next to Collins. That should be it.
Are y'all ready to start?
Right,
Okay, we call the meeting to order. We have one item on the agenda, which is the COLA, which seems to be the stickling point for all our other legislative things. Something I laid it, well, today is not a good day for me, but regardless, I was awake most of the night, so thinking. Our budget right now is about $90 million a year. That's what we pay out. And over the last 20 years, the cost of living has averaged about 3%. If you take 3% of that 90 million, we're looking at about $2.8 million, of which, the way our COLA system is working now, we're paying at least a third of that, maybe a little more. So in reality, we're only looking at about $1.5 million a year. We just made almost $34 million in the last month. Social Security is going to go up, and it's supposed to be going broke here in the next 10 years, and they're giving them a 4%. So I don't know what the stickler is. You know, our system has, and as Chad put out, when I went on in 1992, we had about $140 million. Now we're well over $1 billion. And we're worrying about $1.5 million, 1.8. So, you know, we're not talking, in my opinion, we're not talking about that much money. So I'll leave it, open it up to the committee.
I think that's why Social Security is going broke.
Well, no money was put into it.
Well, and they have the government has the option of printing money, so we don't have that option. But the problem, I'm okay with, you know, the $2 million the first year, but that second year, you're adding another $2 million to it. It's not just a one-time cost, right? It's compounding, so every year is $2 million.
It's compounded by 3%, so 3% of $1.5 million is not doubling it.
But you're adding another, so you have to pay out another $2 million the next year for the COLAs.
Right.
Yeah, so if you're paying $2 million the first year, you're paying $2 million plus 3% the second year. So those two add up together,
Okay.
and so on and so forth.
In 1981, this pension system was, I don't know, $40 million. We gave a 5% COLA from 1981 up until I got on the board, and we tied it to the CPI. And we still grew. And that's when we didn't have the money coming in that we have today. Because we only had 2 equity managers and a fixed income manager, and we were only making, at best, probably 4%. And we did it. And today we are growing leaps and bounds. We are you guys right now, you actives are putting in more money than any pension system I can find. 12%. To me, up until 2013, we never had a problem with it. And then in 2013, the former mayor is screaming that we're going to go broke. We were 78% funded in 2013, and today, the last actuary, what are we, 72%? I don't get it. You're paying all this money, it's basically, it should be a Cadillac program or pension. And yet, the retirees are going behind and behind and behind. The suggestion of 1 to 5% tie it to the COLA, I think it's very reasonable. Very reasonable. So,
I was just pointing out that, it's not just $2 million. Like, it's $2 million adding every year on top of each other. So that's all I was pointing out. Like,
Right.
I'm not saying one way or the other.
I understand it, but the pension, our payroll is gonna go up. You guys are going out on a whole lot better, salary than what us old farts do. So it's gonna, obviously gonna go up. But I'm hoping to goodness, now that we're over $1,135,000,000, as long as this board does its job, which it is doing an excellent job, and you know it. I mean, we're our minimum we set up is 7%, and we're making way better than that. So the pension is growing, rapidly. I mean, $35 million in 1 month or $34 million in 1 month is not a bad month.
No.
The dollar value went up, and like you said, the funded liability went down. So if we went from 78 down to 72, paying out additional COLAs, it seems like that could be detrimental. I'm not opposed to COLAs. I think they're necessary, as long as it doesn't make the fund insolvent. If we're going backward already, adding more COLAs could be dangerous.
We went backward because of assumptions. I mean, let's be honest. It's not, here's the deal. We could get this experience study and change our rate of return by 0.1%, change our mortality rate by a year, and this would affect this thing by millions and millions of dollars, and percentage basis would probably be 2 or 3% to the good or the better, worse, no matter however you moved it, right? And that's what essentially happened. We looked like, we had the 78% funded. We did the experience study, we assumed those, different things. I think we dialed the rate of return back, and that's a big one, right? I mean,
Right.
as it should be. But I also think it's conservative, and that's not a bad thing either, especially when we're looking at trying to become 100% of that unfunded liability. So I am sympathetic to it. I know I give Tommy more grief than anybody in this room probably, but like the COLA is something that everybody benefits from. I think we can all agree with that. Everybody's trying to get to the same spot, whether you're still wearing a uniform or you're retired or whatever. We're all in that same boat, and we're all benefit from it. It's expensive. We know that. But I think our biggest hurdle is that there's rules to this thing that's the 100% funded, and we all know that is, for lack of a better term, kind of a crock, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it does matter, but it doesn't matter. And I don't think it has to be 100% funded, but that was the rules set in 2013. And until we agree that we've got a number that we're shooting for, whatever that is, then I think we can probably absorb some more of that COLA talk, right? Like, I think that's where we are. And I don't know that we can have a COLA talk until there's a talk about what that looks like, what the end goal is. Because the rule is now, what is it, 83% funded till you get the COLA, like
No.
rock, 85? I thought
No.
No,
That's
I
factual.
know. I was getting ready to give you some credit, Rock. Sit tight. It's got to become 110% funded or 120% funded before it reverts back, and I get that. But, like, that's the rule on paper. Is that right? Like, isn't that what we said on paper? Does it not say 85%?
On paper, it says 85%
Yes.
funded after the COLA is given.
I know.
And it won't get there until you're 103%.
I
At
know.
100%, the city's contribution drops.
Correct.
So it is physically impossible to get there.
I'm tracking. And so I think we all know that by now. My point is, until we change that verbiage and then we get it right and we understand that there's something you have an appetite for, that we're like, hey, we can be at 85% funded normally or 80% funded normally or whatever that is, and we're okay to give this COLA whatever. I mean, and I'm just throwing out numbers. I'm hoping you have a solution. I mean, I've been hearing the problem and I get it, but I don't have a solution. But the first step of that solution is to change the rules at which we're playing by. And I think you agree with that.
you know, the city enacted the problem. This board had nothing to do with it. We were never asked. We were never done anything. I'm a Fayette County. I was born here. I wanted, to help the city as much as I can. And if we need to move the goalpost, do away with the goalpost, I have no problems with that as long as we take care of our retirees. And, just look, what, in the last 2 months, we've had what, six deaths? We've got an older, a lot of old people in our pension system that when they retired, look at the widows, the annuity we got today. How the hell are you gonna live on that amount?
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm here for COLAs. I am. I think, and I don't know that anybody disagrees with that that's here. Again, it's something that everybody benefits from, literally. I mean, the goal is to get to retirement and hopefully have a fruitful retirement. I think we're good with that. The question is how do you get it? I mean, do you have an answer for that other than just say, yep, let's do it, and then, we roll the dice? I mean, we obviously send this to an actuary, but what is the solution? That's what my question would be.
I think it's twofold,
Okay.
and that is, we've gotta do something to move the goalposts. I mean, the city this year putting in what, 52%? That's, I mean, and there's nobody that's fought the city more than I have, but that is ridiculous. But they put themselves in that position, not seeing down the road. At the time they thought, it was the greatest thing, that there ever was. And now look what has come back and bit them. I have no problem with helping them. I think 52% is ridiculous. I really do. But I'm a retiree and I represent, over 1,400 people, police, fire, and widows, and I'm sitting here looking at these, people, and they're just going further and further and further behind. When you got a maximum of 2% for up to $40,000, and the CPI right now is what, 3.8 or whatever it is. They're just going behind, and you got to understand, part of that COLA is it's going to happen regardless. We got the 2 to 1.5 and the 1. If the average is 3, it's not that much more money.
Again, I'm here for the COLAs. I don't disagree. We all understand. I think the question is, how do we get to it? It's never a problem of identifying the issue. It's a problem of figuring out the solution.
Okay. I'm ready for other input.
If our funded ratio is going down, is it prudent to increase costs for across the board COLA, or would it be more prudent to focus on those who need it most? What I mean is raising the minimum annuity that we're willing to give, because there's already a provision in KRS for us to increase it.
Okay.
Those are the people that are going to need it the most. And I'm not a retiree. I'm not close. I'm only 35. I've got a long time to work here. But when I hear you talk about retirees, I'm not really sure who you're talking about, because there's more than one kind of retiree. There's the guy who has been here 20 years and he's 43 and he's going to go work a full another career down at DOCJT or another fire department or wherever he's going to go and make a full salary on top of a pension and get a $30,000 or $40,000 a year raise. And on the other hand, there's the widow who, her husband was a firefighter in 1989 and they're getting peanuts then and even less now. seems like she's the one that deserves the increase more than the other.
Here's the argument I have for that. You're putting in 12%, correct? You're putting in 12%. Chief Wells is putting in 12%. And his 12% is a hell of a lot more than what your 12% is.
He's gonna be pulling out more.
You know, you have to be fair. I mean, yes, there are, you know, what's the average pension now? 50,000?
Over 50. Yeah, if they're retiring now, its average is over 50.
I don't think I want to be fair. Fair would be not having a minimum disbursement.
I don't want to be fair, okay.
I want to help those at the bottom end up.
So just for some numbers, because I was a little bit prepared
Good.
for that, we have 14 retirees under the $1,800 a month. We have 14 of those.
Under 1,800.
Under 1,800, we have 14 retirees. 11 are widows. And then 3 of those are quadros, which don't count. Okay? Retirees that are earning less than 40,000 or less, we have 270. That are under that 40,000 a year threshold, which is who I'm thinking you're looking to help.
Probably.
Yeah.
Colas are-
Or move.
That's just my perspective because
Yeah. But
those
just
are
to
the-
give you some numbers.
those are the people that it's going to matter for, and those
Yes.
the 14 or so that you're talking about.
Yeah, so
at
really,
the minimum,
just 11 or what, 11.
those are people that the board could positively influence immediately, right? We
Oh,
have the discretion
definitely.
every 2 years to raise it 10% or more to the current poverty level for a
Yeah,
two-person household, which
poverty
is
level
currently at
is-
$16,000 a month or $1,600 a month.
We're doing 1,500 right now, there's poverty
Yeah.
level for him
You know,
Yeah.
in the statutes.
So why don't we go ahead and do that, and then talk about everything else? Because if we're going backwards in the funding ratio, regardless if it's going to be 100% or not, why are we talking about increasing these costs so much that we don't necessarily know what it's going to mean?
you know, not everybody you know, unfortunately, in fact, there's very few that were smart enough to plan ahead. And you don't know how many people there are this is all they have is their pension, which I regret. I mean, you know, they should have thought ahead like a lot of us. You know, that there is something else maybe to fall back on. But, you know, fair is fair, in my opinion. There is no, you know, okay, yeah, the people under 40,000 deserve it, yeah. But, you know, they didn't put in the money that the guy up here put in money. He
So,
put in a hell of a lot more.
so I'm understanding you. You're wanting to get rid of the tiered COLA system and
Absolutely.
go to a straight.
Yeah,
COLA.
you know, what my recommendation is go, hell, we can go either 0 to 5 or 1 to 5 and tie it to whatever the CPI, because I was the one that went and changed it to the CPI, because up until I got on the board, it was a straight 5% every time. And we didn't have the money that we have today. And that went on from the early 80s up until, I believe I got it changed in like 96. And let me tell you, you would have thought I was overthrowing the American government. I caught 14 kinds of hell over it. But honestly, you know, they were it was an automatic stamp, 5% every year, 5% every year. And I'm going, wait a minute, how do you justify a 5% cost of living when the CPI is 3%? And if somebody came in and sued us, which they could, how do you justify that? You can't justify it. But if you tie it to the CPI, then you have a number you can fall back on. And that's what the board ended up doing, agreeing with me, and don't let me, and I went out and faced those retirees. I went to them. And it was not a pleasant time at that particular moment. But I ended up somewhat winning them over to where after I retired, I was I was the president of the retiree organization for like 10 years. And then I conned another person into taking it over, which is sitting back there. So, and Trey's exactly right. The reason that we're going backwards is we have changed a lot of parameters.
And we're talking about changing another one?
Well, so let me say that. So it all kind of comes back to the experience study, and I think if we're talking prudency, I would say the most prudent thing we've done, at least the late breaking, is that we got the experience study moved a year ahead of time, which I talked to Chief Swiderski, and he had said that was from y'all's last meeting.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's a really good plan if you're wanting to make these serious changes. So I personally just think that by looking at that, we can have a better understanding if that mortality table changes. Even the last one we did was kind of that post-COVID, it was a weird time, and they didn't have good data, right? But I think now we can probably take a better look at that. And of course, that, if you're familiar, I don't know if you were here for that or whatever, but essentially you're going to see the mortality where they think we should be on that, and it's up to us to decide. But they'll give you that mortality table, they'll give you the rate of return. Help me out here. I'm missing the other one. I'm sorry.
Salary was in there.
Yeah, well, the salaries are, but they're kind of giving us the outside variables that we can't assess really because we're looking at such a small pool of people. But I feel like by looking at that, we can have a better idea. I think my question, and you're kind of coming to a head here, is that what is it that you would prefer? And if it's the 1 to 5%, okay, 1 to 5% on that tied to the CPI. So it would be voted on or automatic or whatever, but some derivative that it would happen. The CPI is at 5, you could elect, the board, I guess, could decide that they could do the COLA up to 5% for that year. Okay. I think just trying to understand what it is the end goal. I think that's where I was going a second ago with this, where that is the end goal. I think actuarially, we probably are, we are going back, right? Like because of that reason. Without diving into it with Ms. Hensley, are we kind of, I don't know, are we falling back actually, like in real terms? I don't know, and that's my question. Because here's the deal, we've sat here, you sat, we're at this very table, and we talked to CAFMAC over many things and scratched our head at how we were coming up with these numbers. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right on track, but we're nowhere near where we should be according to what the 2013 actuary said.
Yeah,
and we do agree with that. So what I'm saying is I think there's a lot of agreements here, and then I think there's the variables at play that change your percentage funded, right? It's all smoke and mirrors. It's kind of smoke and mirrors in terms of how that goes. My point is on the number, on the face, are we really losing ground? Are we, and that's, I'm trying to ask, that's what I want to ask, are we, how financially does that look? Not just actuarially, but how does it look? And how do we get that number?
Your argument, that the people, that are making 60, 70,000 on their pension right now. If you keep going back, losing 1%, 2% every year for the rest of their life, which we're looking at, I'm hoping that I'm going to make it another 15, 20 years, I'm going to get further and further and further behind. Okay? I don't want it to be a raise. Originally, that's kind of what it was. That straight 5% was a raise. And that's how it was argued to me. And I'm going, wait a minute. When you retire, you don't get raises. Your dollar should be the same spending value when you retire to the day you die. That's all I'm asking. the same, you know, whatever you decide you do. You know, whether you retire at 20 years or you're an idiot like me and stay for 35 plus. You know, that, I just want my dollar to stay the same. And it's not,
Neither is mine.
huh?
Neither is mine.
Right.
Yeah, nobody's arguing that we don't want COLAs, just like Trey said.
I'm
But like,
not.
my question is, and my concern is, how do we ensure that, like, we're at the same level of funding 100 years from now giving this COLA? That's my concern.
Yeah.
Do we have the parameters from the 2013 study?
Like which parameters, I'm sorry?
All of them,
All of
everything
them.
that they base the numbers on.
Did they base it on
We
anything?
weren't given, we weren't privileged to it.
You're funny.
Oh, yeah.
We were not privileged to any.
Here's a chalkboard.
In 2013, we had an actuarial value of the fund of $533 million, and we had an unfunded liability of $204 million. Our assumed rate of return at the time was 7.5%. This is after the restructure. The contribution rate for the city was 36.5%. Our funded ratio was 66%. Since then, we have dropped our assumed rate of return to 7%. Our contribution rate has gone up to 51.5%, we'll say, and rising. Our funded ratio is now just around 72%. We're a little over $1.1 billion, and our unfunded liability is $385 million. So we have gone, as far as our unfunded liability, in a negative direction. Now, it does not represent the same percentage of unfunded to asset value, which is good. But our contribution percentage does continue to go up. When we looked at a scenario of giving 0.5% on what we have existing, so our 40,000, 40 to 75, and 75 at the, on the 1, 1.5, and 2 that exist today. We looked at that in 2023. It increased our unfunded liability $66 million for a 0.5% COLA in 23. Before all of the contract increases went in, before the mortality table changes, before all of that. So I don't know what that would be today. I do think that the experience study change will help us calculate that. But just for our mental picture of what up to 5 could look like, 0.5% changed us $66 million. To Trey's point, working within the box that we are working within, I don't know how you make both of those things true. I don't know how you continue to float the boat down the river that you're trying to reach a destination and blow holes in it by continuing to outpour additional resources. You can't fill it with water at the same time that you're trying to offload the liability. I don't know how you make both of those things true at the same time. Something has to give.
Based on the 2013 numbers, do we know where we should, based on that study, where should we be at today compared to where we are?
I had that at one point. It's probably in this binder somewhere. I can see it, but
It's not pleasant though, right?
it's not pleasant.
nowhere
When I
near.
went back and looked at their presentation of where we thought we would be, the contribution rate is significantly different. The funded, we were like on the downhill slide,
And we're not.
and we're not anywhere close. And it's the same actuaries, it's the same team, it's the same everything.
But we were judicious enough to sit here and ask them, and
Yes.
literally we're all looking at each other like, how does this happen? And he
Yeah.
was like, oh, no, it's fine, everything's fine. Like, I don't know how
Well,
you.
he keeps saying like, oh, next year it's gonna go down, or 2
Yeah.
years from now it's gonna go down, and it never does.
I feel like he's a great salesman because we just keep buying.
I probably shouldn't be saying this.
Go ahead.
But how much better would we be if we had gotten the correct amount of money in 2011?
I'm not aware that the fund has been harmed.
We will see very shortly, I think.
So can anybody help explain to me if a 1% total raise, total COLA is, let's say it's 960,000 a year, right? So 1% of the annual, we're paying out 96 million a year and for the pension, right? 8 million a month. Sound good?
7.5
Well,
or
let's
something.
round up.
That's fine. That's
So
close enough.
1% would be 960,000.
Right.
So I don't understand how that would make the unfunded liability 132 million.
I don't know, we were getting 132 million. I
Well,
was
because
told
0.5% was
in- for-
66.
Where's 132 million, 2 years?
This
What are you?
this is 1%.
Oh, okay.
Adding the two together.
I don't know, that was their 2023 numbers. I just
Mm-hmm.
went back and pulled what they sent us in 2023. So, taking into account whatever has happened since then, which I think we will figure out from their new experience study, if that has moved the needle significantly. I mean, I think that's a decent assumption. But are we good with having a $500 million unfunded liability now?
All I'm asking is how does a 0.5% or 1% equate to a $66 million unfunded liability addition?
Increase. How does it equate?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's however they calculate it.
Actuarial.
That's the actual.
That's actuarial.
That's the numbers they
It's
came back
it's
with.
not a 1-year number.
It's a forever
It's
number.
forever
It's
number.
compound interest working against you.
It's magic math.
0.5% every year
So was
compounds
the-
on itself.
The $66 million for the 0.5%, that was through the 2042 that the
Yep.
pension's supposed to be at 100%, or that's for a year or 5 years, 10 years?
I'd say it's probably through the end date,
I would say, yeah.
probably through the
Yeah,
funded date.
I'm sure it
but-
was.
Because it's gonna impact the amount due by 2042.
Yeah, I
The
would,
line
I would
graph
assume
looks
that
like
they
this.
calculated it through
Yeah.
the plan funded date.
Yeah.
She got 20 ounce cola.
Well,
That's fine.
I had to put it in order because I was flipping so much last time.
Yeah, I've got it.
It's almost that big.
Here, it's coming up. I've got it right here, and you can look at mine.
Okay. I don't know that, I think it
I
would
don't know,
probably be in
is
the.
that what you're looking for? The cost of living? I think,
Yeah,
this one was the 1% increase.
does it say if it's through?
It doesn't say, but I would imagine that's what it would be, because
Yeah.
that's the time period we're talking about, to be 100% funded. That's what it would, after that, it's not gonna matter. After that, there would be no unfunded liability. In a perfect world, right?
Makes
So,
sense. We had them run like
Several scenarios.
A lot.
10 scenarios at that point in time,
Yeah.
different, a bunch of
A
different
lot.
things.
Yeah.
a whole lot of things.
A lot.
With the cheapest being $12.5 million increase.
Susan,
Yes,
Yes,
how
sir.
soon,
that was to
how
move
soon will
the-
we be able to get the,
Well,
experience study done?
he's got to do the actuary first. And then he would run the experience study, so, you're gonna be lucky.
So it'd be next year.
You're gonna be lucky if we get it December of this year.
Oh, we could.
I mean, it's a
I think that's
stretch.
being optimistic. but
It's being
okay.
a stretch, but yeah, he could work on them. I mean, it depends on how busy he is and stuff. I have not asked him. He was not aware that we had talked to him about doing the experience study early, but there was no confirmation because we had to have board approval. So, but the actuary is the first and foremost thing that he has to complete first.
How many total pensioners do we have, do you know?
1560.
Oh, I was under now.
I think 1562
160
actually.
you don't represent.
Yeah, apparently.
What's two people?
Not that I was looking at that yesterday, but yeah.
The 160 that didn't vote for him.
Or that did, and stuck him back on there again.
And just for reference, prior to 2013, we used the April CPI.
It's
To-
usually, they don't have the May before, because we set it in June.
It's
They
it's
didn't have the May done
Yeah.
until after our meeting,
So
you ended up using the April. That was
we
what we did.
always use the April CPI, and I do have those numbers if anybody wants them from 2013 to 2026 and what the average was.
What's the average?
Yeah, let's hear the average.
Yeah, what's the average?
2.71.
2.71.
So you wanna,
What's 2026?
So that's less than my 3%.
3.8. There were some big ones. There were some negative ones.
Anecdotally, I've
you can take money
lost
back.
buying power every year except one
I know.
since the
Thank you,
2013
Lois.
change.
So, but
Yes.
yeah. So I just mirrored what we did prior to the 2013, just to kind of give an idea of what we would be looking at. Because you can't just pick it, you have to pick one specific month. So what we used prior was April, and that's what I used.
Well, it was the only the only last number that we had.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Well,
it.
you have to be consistent, and so, yeah,
Yeah.
for us to vote it for in June and have it effective July, the one you got was April.
Because they run like a month or better behind.
So I know when we ran these numbers, maybe 3 years ago, we tied them to a decrease in disability percentages. Is that just out the door, or what? Where did any of that ever land?
That was one scenario we looked at
Well, we can only talk about COLAs
in this meeting.
in this meeting. So,
you
just so
out.
that we don't get something else going.
Is the idea of a 13th check considered a COLA discussion?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'd say that is.
To your
Yes.
answer,
Oh,
I think
for sure.
that there was a
Yeah.
distaste for time.
Just
with
can't talk
lowering
about
the
disabilities,
disability.
can't talk about.
Like if we looked at
all
the
that
numbers
What
and
is monthly payroll?
like,
Is it 8 million?
it was so few people.
Roughly.
Like, don't get me wrong,
It's
we
close
have a
to
sour
8.
taste from certain disabilities, right? But that's what we were focusing on, and those are very few and far between. So it ended up not affecting numbers significantly enough to change it.
Saving the city money. We'll have to.
Yeah, talk later about it.
Well, let's get back on track. You brought up the 13th check. After thinking about that for quite some time, I'm completely opposed to it. And the reason being is this. That would be about an 8% raise, roughly. That sound right?
It is 8.3.
And you could only do it probably every 3 to 5 years, something like that. But the problem is your pension is gonna be flat. There's nothing built in to where it goes up.
Other than the COLA that exists right now.
Are you gonna add the 13 check onto this or not
Absolutely.
onto it?
I'm not
that
a
was-
member of the committee,
I
nor
thought
am
that
I a
was the
member of the
discussion.
board, but that's where my head was, that you add the 13th check in addition to.
That would be
the
fine
mental
as long
illness.
as that happened.
I thought that was the discussion.
We never really got into.
Yeah, that was the assumption.
Effectively using a 13th check every third year to make up for a loss of buying power based on CPI.
I could probably live with that as long as
Why are we talking about paying out more?
it's in there, but we never really have ever.
I mean, we've thrown at ideas, but have we ever dialed down the details? No, but that would have been my assumption, is that you
It
keep,
costs 1 month of payroll.
yeah, that you would keep the COLAs, but
It
yeah,
doesn't
you
come
would,
in.
I'm not against COLA.
It does not compound.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
normal COLAs in place would continue to compound, but the 13th check wouldn't, and you would issue the 13th check based on whatever guardrails were set. If you look at the average CPI, potentially over 3 years, if it misses by X percent, you issue a check. If the CPI that's built in if the COLAs meet the CPI, then you don't have to issue a check. However you
Yeah.
would do it, but that's the idea, is that 13th check is issued to make up for your lost buying power over the previous 3 years.
The other question that I have about that is, would that be counted as part of the retiree's pension, or would that be taxed differently?
It would just be
I
an extra.
assume that would be taxed the same as your pension checks are.
I talked to my CPA and he wasn't so sure about that.
I had a question too about similar in that lineage, because now that a lot of guys are leaving and they might have a social security benefit as well, nominal as it probably is.
It's pretty good now.
It can tinker with your social security because you're showing an influx of money in that particular year. And I actually kind of like the 13 check idea. I'm not just playing a little devil's advocate here.
Exactly.
Because I think there's something to that. And I
It
actually
could
might not be
hurt
my
the
own dad,
people
but yeah.
that are definitely 100,000. But then again, anyone that's over 100,000 probably already gets a penalty for Irma.
I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah,
Irma.
no, that's
Lovely
something to
Irma.
consider too.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's definitely some caveats that would need to be investigated in that, I think. So.
Yeah. We
There
did have
needs to be
issues with
quite a
the-
bit of checking,
Others.
I would-
tax repercussions
Sure.
and social security repercussions and a lot of
I
other
view the
things.
13th check as a way that the pension can make up the lost buying power for our retirees at a lower cost to the pension and
Sure.
going forward, because it doesn't compound.
And how would that affect the unfunded liability, or we would have to do the study to see what that would do?
I think that was ran.
I think we would make the assumption that we would issue one every 3 years and toss it in there. It would increase it, but not nearly as much as a COLA.
I don't think we did.
I really hope it did. Let me see if I can.
Unless it's on one of these others on its own. I think that came about during the discussion of the results.
Maybe. I'm just looking for it.
We didn't do it. In 23, we didn't.
Well, what does the committee want to do? We've been spinning our wheels over and over and over and over. And I don't know how many hours we have put into this. I'd like to get something so we can get all of it sent to the actuary and all that, because that's gonna have to happen. And until we get it finalized, I can't ask for money from the board to send it to the actuary, because we don't know, nothing's finalized. So, there's 5 of us on that committee.
So what are you proposing then?
Somebody make a motion as to what we're gonna do.
I'm asking you, what do you want to do?
I wanna go to the 1 to 5. That's what we're told we could do, and we voted to increase all our contribution rate. And we have always contributed. And for
The same.
27, or well, from 73 up until 2003, the city only put in their minimum. And the only reason that changed is due to a lawsuit by a number of us, and there's a couple of us right here, that was involved in that. Or we'd be in a hell of a lot worse shape than we are now.
Which is,
And when we were not making hardly any money at all, we were doing fives and we were still growing. And I can't see where 1.8 million dollars a year increase. Yes, it's going to compound, but payroll is, people retiring is going to compound. I mean, to me, $1.8 million is, now that we're well over $1 billion, is not that much money. And I just want to take care of the retirees, because every one of you in here are going to be a retiree one day. And if you get hurt or whatever, and you can't have a second job or whatever, and you're gonna, and you weren't smart enough to plan ahead, then you're gonna be hurt. And there's a bunch of them out there that are hurting. And I mean a bunch. So that's what I'm looking for.
So if we call that like the top, what would be the lower end?
There isn't one.
So it's 1 to 5 or nothing?
In my opinion, for me, yes.
Okay.
And tie it to the CPI. And 2.8, what was it, 2.8 for the last 10 years or whatever?
2.71.
That's the average though, so.
That's the average. So that's even less
You've got
than what
some
I
4s,
calculated.
you've got some 8s, you've got some 4s, 3s.
There's one year you gotta give money back.
There's one
Yeah.
one year you gotta give us money back.
send them a bill in the mail.
Invoice.
So it's actually less than what I calculated. I calculated it on 3.
Well, you calculated on a 1% increase, right?
No, I calculated it for everyone to get the average of 3%, and it turned out for the last 10 years, it's 2.7, so it would be less.
I think what he was saying was the difference between what they're receiving now and what he's calculating, whereas
And,
maybe what you're thinking.
and you gotta understand that what we calculate, or what we're getting now is gonna be at least a third, and probably more, of that, 3%, when you look at it. So we're only gonna be out, another additional $1.5 million per year. And yes, it'll compound, but you're only looking at compounding it at 3% on average, or less. Especially, we've got, and let's face it, this board has done a super job for investing. We have met that 7% goal, every year except for, one in the last 10, is that right?
I don't know, I don't have those numbers.
And exceeded it. So we're doing our job.
As long as the market stays up.
Well, the market has always gone up. Yes, you have flukes, you have, it's gonna happen. But, we lost what was the bad year? 2008, we lost,
Our butt.
22%. But look what we've made since then.
I know.
we have made all that back up and a whole lot more. And nobody watches though, our finance managers better than I do. I'm calling, poor old John gets tired of me calling him. And we are getting rid of, we got rid of some people that are unperforming, which has hurt us a little, but we're still way above the 7%. And most years we've been doubling that, or more. Gosh, what else? And I apologize because I said 78%. That was in 2011 when we were 78% funded.
It is later than that too. It's been in my time.
Mhm.
It's been that high.
Before we change the rate of translation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what changed. Go from 7.5 to 7 kind of.
It was
changes the
my
numbers.
fault.
Randy, you can talk, you can say, you
He has to be
represent the retirees, you're the president.
He
If you
has
wanna
to-
say something,
He has to be recognized because he's not on the board.
yeah, I am recognizing him. Just like I do Jeremy and,
Huh?
Thank you all.
I'll catch you
So,
for this.
for those of you that do not know me, my name is Randy Kaplan. I'm a retired Lexington police officer with full-time in-service pension. I always put that caveat in. Did not go out on a minute. So I'm the president of the RFPW, which is Retired Fire Police and Widows of Lexington. We do one thing, and I'm going to read the purpose of our organization if you don't mind. And this is from the Articles of Incorporation for the RFPW. Hold on, that's my wife quacking.
They call.
Oh, you're gonna catch it for now.
Yep. The purpose of the corporation shall be to enhance and protect the rights and benefits of retired firemen, police, spouses, and/or dependent children. That's it. That's what we do. We don't get in FOP battles. FOP does a myriad of stuff that is all awesome. We do one thing, and that's protect retirees and the widows. That's it. I got involved in this organization about 5 years ago. I'm in my second term as president. We meet at the FOP hall every month, third Monday of every month. This is a attendance list, 25 people. These people are old, y'all. They're war police or fire, or their spouses or widows of those people. I'm in the business world, and been since I retired. I owned Parkette for 14 years. I now am one of the owners of Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken in Lexington, Richmond, and Corbin. We have bills to pay. We have bottom line, right? So it's about math for all of us. I see both sides of it. I see every side of it because I was in the government world for half of my adult life. And now I'm in the business world, so I see that part of it too. And I know we have to pay our bills. I have payroll, I have property taxes, I have payroll taxes. It freaking sucks. So I understand where you're coming from when it comes to math. But I don't think we're missing the point, but I think we need to hammer the point that these are freaking people. They're suffering. And they dedicated either their lives and limb, like Van Wert just did, to this city and to this community. And the spouses and widows had to suffer through everything that their spouses went through serving this community. And now we have an obligation to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's what my organization does. We represent them so they can have a life that's worth living. And we have to do something to support these people. Because the entire purpose of all of it is to serve each other. So I know it's a big deal for the pension because I know it's math and it's hard. Nobody wants to be on the losing end of any money. But at what point do we not take care of our own? And that's what all this is about. So I would ask all of you to consider that, yes, we're going to do the math. And we have got to make sure that our ducks are in a row when it comes to math. But we're doing the math for one purpose, and that's to take care of our people. That's what we do. We all signed up for that. And now we have an obligation to make sure that that happens. And that's all I'm asking. Please consider that, because without us and making that decision for people that can't care for themselves, we're dead in the water. And we signed up so we can protect people that cannot care for themselves. Thank you.
So where are we at?
You have to run studies no matter what, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run studies. I mean, you know,
But we're only gonna run a study on one option. We need,
we need an option to send to them. And it may, you know, and we've done this, gosh, I don't know, how many times have we,
I mean,
I've been involved in this for so long. It's-
no, that's what I'm asking for.
But,
He's,
you know, and it may
on
have to be,
one
and
option.
it could be tweaked.
And I don't think that's right and fair.
Have you sent, so have you already sent the other things that came out of this to the actuary?
No,
This would
no,
be
because we
in
have to wait for
addition
the actuary to get done, then we need to get the experience study done.
Okay.
Then we send these
So you-
suggestions,
so
or
you-
these,
So you could run the
Possibilities.
3 scenarios from the last meeting of this to the actuary with other options for COLAs
yeah,
and without those options, or the current plan structure with the 2 options for the COLAs as well, and
yeah, cause I think this meeting's for COLAs, and then we're gonna have another meeting just to line out what all we're wanting to send, but we have to wait for the actuary and the experience study to be completed before we can send them to them to get a
The,
real life.
the agenda that we have, once we, whatever this, we decide here, we will have to come back and to go over, it, maybe do some tweaking. And then that's what we'll wait for until we get it to the actuary and get it back, and then we'll see.
I think all the other options have been,
They're
have
pretty
been
much,
lined out.
yeah, they're pretty
Yes.
much lined out, but
This
there may
one
be,
just
there may be a
takes-
tweak.
Longer discussions and honestly, my personal opinion, I think we need more options than just the 1 to 5. I think we need to get a couple more options to send, just to get a real life look at what we can do.
Yeah, I don't want,
I
the
just-
1 to 5, I think, is a super extreme solution that, in my
Cadillac.
opinion, that we cannot pay. Like, and I'm not saying, like, I appreciate the retirees and everything, but part of what we gotta do is make sure there's money in here for current members 100 years from now. And we gotta make sure we're not gonna run out of money, you know, by giving 5% COLAs. I'm not opposed to running the numbers, but I think we need to send more options.
I agree. Just to, if this one's like way out of the ballpark to choose, then we're going back to square one, which means we don't have another option to look at for COLAs. That's why I'm saying we need a couple more ideas than just one. Because if we all look at 1 to 5 and it's not obtainable, then we're back to square one again. Because we didn't give him more than one option. Does that make sense?
Oh, you, Brock, you've been quiet.
Oh, I'm just sitting here biding my time.
Well, here's your time.
Okay, based on what I think I'm hearing, we're looking at the 2028 legislative session. Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, because we have to wait for everything to come back this
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
And then we can't run it till next year. And
Susan, if they
Was
run
it-
the 1 to
that's all I got.
5, are they doing 30 years at 1%, 30 years at 2%, 30 years at 3%, or are they doing
Time for that.
5 years at 1%, 5 years at 3?
I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly,
because those are unknown numbers too.
those are unknown numbers. I mean, he may have to run it at 5 and be worst case scenario. I don't
think.
know. I would have to talk to Todd to see how he would run that.
Okay. Who doesn't have to do
I'm just scared, you know, if we do like the 1 to 5, like it's gonna come up with some extreme number and it's gonna be like an automatic no, right?
it's gonna come back in 5.
That's why I was wondering if you need to say.
We could
would
very
think it would have to
easily
be
ask
Because they
forecasting
can't,
worst case scenario.
You know,
5%.
all right,
they might take an average over
you know, what is well, we're already at
the
two,
last 30
so
years. But
start
still,
at
it's like,
two
some of
for
those are
everybody,
wrong, obviously.
3, 4, 5. I mean, you can ask, you know, the actuary to run all three of them.
Historically, with a lot of things we've had ran, and whatever the number, the target we're shooting for is 75th percentile of whatever it is, right? Like when we talked about,
He's against the check 'cause it's not.
what even the disabilities and stuff, we're not allowed to talk about today, but like whenever we've done this before, what I'm saying is that they've shot in the 75th percentile, which ironically is not too far off from, you know, where we would be on the 10-year average or whatever. Anyway, you get what I'm saying? Not to say that that's the number, like you gotta run it at, you know, whatever 75% of 3% is, or 5% is, or whatever, but like, whatever that is, the target. But that's where they ran it before.
67%.
Well, yeah, I just don't know how, I don't have the knowledge of how they do it. That's why I'm asking is, do we need to say, run this at 1%? Run this at 2%? Run this at 3%, as opposed to saying, run it at 1 to 5%?
Right. I do think that's probably the case.
Because at 1%, which that's just a flat out 1% raise on the current COLAs.
Yeah.
What does that do?
And at 2.71.
So can one of our options be a 13th check every 3 years?
Yeah. As long as we, you know, the steps stay in, you know, and it is, yeah.
And that will be 2029 by the time that's enacted.
Or 30.
Yeah. So really, what is your thought, Ray?
I favor the 13th check only because I thought it would be more amenable to the Irving County government. But let's go back to this unfunded liability thing. We're at 72%, correct, give or take. The goalpost says 2043, and if I understand what I think I'm hearing, we're looking at not 2043, 2053. We're gonna move it out, correct?
That was a
That's the
suggestion.
ask, yeah.
That was a suggestion, is to move the goalpost.
Having an unfunded liability does not make you a horrible person.
Unless
there
you
are-
are statutorily required to be
Not having-
100% funded.
Yeah.
But you're getting ready to ask for 2043 to 2053. We're
I'm
talking
not
about.
asking for
No,
anything.
he did not, she did not ask.
Just to be clear,
Well, is it not my understanding that
I will take it.
the proposal
But I didn't
would be
ask.
to move the goalpost similar to that?
The proposal that was
And I
brought,
mean-
not by her,
Yeah,
was
one of the situations looked at last time
Well,
was to
if,
change that
if,
date.
if changing that means changing a statute. So, I mean, it's just like there was a statute that says I got 2 to 5 cost of living and it went away. So we can change a statute. I'm just not, I'm understanding of an unfunded liability, but I don't say it with in my throat. Lots of pension funds have much higher unfunded liabilities than we do. If we move the goalpost, I'm assuming the unfunded liability will change then also?
yes.
I don't
It-
think
No,
the
It shouldn't
liability
change.
The
will
liability
change,
won't change.
just
The
date
contribution rate.
funded will
Yeah.
change.
Yeah,
Okay.
Contribution rate should change.
and the funding ratio could change.
And obviously the year at which it will become.
Should go down.
Maybe.
But we can
You would
always-
think
Depends on how
like-
we write it.
We
You
can't
would
really
think
talk
it
too
would.
much about it, but
To repay over more time.
that's something
would be a
in our
less
future
separate
meeting
payment.
we can discuss it.
Okay,
We
well,
have two options.
either way,
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Totally. But-
just
Yes.
like
Does that have to be
Randy
tied to the study,
Kaplan
though?
pointed out to
It
you,
depends on if we freeze what we have now and add on to that.
these are
No.
people behind
Because that's an
these
option that we would
numbers.
run after the
And
experience.
Probably
every
the best
month,
thing.
the worst of the least income is losing buying power. And I wish there was a bigger sense of, another sense of urgency on this.
One of
We
the
have kicked-
scenarios
we
that
have-
we looked at concurrently to that was changing the tier structure. That was the 40 to 50, and we looked at that at the same time. And we haven't talked about that either. Because that is something that is dramatically different from when this was built. Our salaries now are dramatically different from
Yeah.
what existed before.
Yeah, nobody's retiring
Nobody's
40,000
retiring
or
at
less.
40,000 or less.
No, nobody is.
I know.
Nobody's coming in at 40,000 or
Yeah.
less.
Is that something we could theoretically tie to a percentage of pension payments? Like,
Well-
you know, like the bottom third gets this, the middle third gets this, top third gets this?
So one of the scenarios that
setting
we
dollar
looked
amounts.
at in 2023 was moving that structure. That, just moving the structure, leaving the COLAs the same, but moving the structure added 12.5 million to the unfunded liability.
But you're still.
But it would have moved annuity payments for incoming, for the folks that are coming in, and then some of where folks are landing. So the folks that are in the bottom would have a higher, that 40 to 50 would have higher, and then moving on up. I feel like that, even if we don't go with that version, the idea that our current pay no longer fits with the structure that we have should not be lost. When it was done, when it was written, that was reasonable. That is not reasonable for what is coming anymore. So I don't, if I'm adding anything to this conversation, this is your all's fund. But if I'm adding anything to this conversation, I don't think we should lose sight of the fact that where we've come from and where we're going are a little bit different. And perhaps the tiers that we have are not necessarily where we're going to be
Which we should keep.
in the near future.
I would agree with that.
My statement to that is, regardless if you move the tier, everybody is still losing buying power. And in 50 years, where we're at now, those people are gonna be in that 40,000 less. It's gonna happen. You know, me and him, when we started, we were making $4 an hour. $4 an hour when I started here. No, you know, and we had hardly no overtime. And if you went to court, you got, what was it, $7? $6 a day. $6. Whether you spent 5 seconds or all day. Okay? And, you know,
Have a six shooter on my side.
Well, in our current structure,
to go back and change.
from 40 to 50, they would effectively get a 0.5% raise by looking at the
I don't know, I
tier.
mean, if you have everybody,
I'm just saying, it is a different way
okay,
to
what's
get
33.3%?
some solution.
33.3%.
I would just keep it in mind.
When you say it adds 12.5 million to the unfunded liability, that's through the 2043, is that annually?
I believe,
That's
it's
what we
in the
assume.
same,
It's the
it's
same,
in the
yeah.
same
Because they're all-
study
Yeah.
that
It's all 2043.
it was in that same 2023 scenarios that they looked
I
at
like that.
for us.
Like some-
And so again, it's all on those numbers, so I'm assuming it's that same, however they calculated the 66 million, they also calculated the 12.5. But they were just looking at if we changed the 40 to 50, if we changed the 75 to 80, and those can,
Do you know what
Those don't have
the
to be the
tiers
same.
were changed to for the study?
yeah. I brought something.
They just increased by 10 for each.
We looked
10,000 on the
at,
bottom.
we changed the bottom from 40 to 50, we changed 75 to 80, and we did 80 and up. But that was just a 2023, and that doesn't have to stand. I reordered, this is just the 2023 study, and I reordered it to look at
Yeah, who's it?
the same percentages. I brought a few copies,
I would love this.
but just, you have this.
Your version.
My version, it's just reordered.
Your
Um,
version's highlighted, so yeah.
My version is highlighted. My version is highlighted for unfunded liability, and I put the increase on the bottom. But it does a similar thing. It addresses the lowest the members that are receiving the lowest annuities. It doesn't do the 13th check, it doesn't hit everybody. But it does create some structural movement. It's just something to keep in mind. Unless we change the goalpost, I can't vote for anything that isn't across the board that creates a giant increase to our unfunded liability.
Sure.
That is my vote.
I assume
I'm sure we
$12
should
million
do that.
is not giant.
I don't think that that's giant. I think it is a effort toward a compromise that is trying to meet the needs of our membership and also is trying to be reasonable in our goal of reaching our unfunded liability. But that has to be paramount for me. We have an end date that is statutory right now that has to be my primary objective.
Just out of curiosity, like, just because I came up with that idea, like the third, how does that correspond?
Well, it would depend on how many
Because that way, like,
if we did it every 2 years or every 3 years,
Yeah.
or how often we thought we would have that between now and 2043, how much that would add to it. So if we said we think it'll be every 2 years, or we think it'll be every 3 years, we'll just have to see.
well,
how
me and
many-
Ethan were having a little side discussion, but like, you know, if we just say a third or whatever percentage we want, then we wouldn't have to go back and change numbers, you know, like, okay, well, this year we want to go up to 60,000, you know, and have to run it.
What's a third, tell me again?
So instead of doing like 50, 80, you know, the 0 to 50, 50 to 80, 80 and above, you just set it to
Oh.
like 30%. Like the bottom third get, you know,
Oh, I have no
2%.
idea what that would be.
Oh,
I don't know how
I don't
many
know if that
people
would-
we have
I got you.
that are the bottom third and the,
Yeah.
I don't have any concept of,
Okay.
that would be hard.
Logistically, I'm not sure how that's
don't
gonna
know.
work.
Come out, those brackets are gonna be like.
yeah,
You
as
can do it, Ray.
people,
It's okay.
as
Don't worry about it.
people retire, that would move.
Don't you worry.
I
Yeah.
think that would
Retire
probably,
Right.
That would change, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna change every year.
yeah,
Have fun.
All right, we're
that might
getting,
be hard.
Susan's, I'll be calling about that.
there is nothing wrong with us coming up with 2 or 3 scenarios to send to the actuary. I would like to finalize, 1, 2, 3, whatever we wanna do, to send to see what instead of just sitting here and.
Testing.
Oh, I don't know.
It's our weather
It
radio.
could be
I feel like every
Could
time
be
we're in
weather.
here, it goes off.
Every time we're in here, it does.
Every
It
day.
Yeah,
could be
so-
weather.
I'm getting
It's
under the
supposed to rain.
table.
Later.
Where's the fallout shelter?
Does anybody
Everyone's
know
like deuces. I don't like you all.
Stairwell, come
on this
on now.
proposed schedule, which one was she referring to that was $12.5 million?
It was the
Scenario
12.5
one.
is.
Scenario one, was it not?
Oh, oh.
I was gonna say, here's what.
Hers or this one?
Yeah, I don't know, that was the numbers when they ran it.
The
That went with that.
12.5
It's the
on,
same thing from the 23, I just put it in a different.
Yeah.
on 23, the 12.5 should be scenario 2, I think.
Was it scenario two?
On the,
Okay, so
On
we're
this
there,
one.
just where we're going. Okay, nothing else.
Okay.
which was 1%, 1.5, and 2%.
So what does the committee want to do?
So we already have the 1 to 5. We've got a 13th check every third year.
And keeping the COLA ratings intact with the 13th check.
Yeah.
Every 3 years.
Yeah. And then
And then Aaron suggests
the scenarios two, is that right?
So we're talking about 3 different scenarios,
Hers
correct?
is 1, I think.
Because scenario two, Aaron, was that just leaving the COLAs the same, just moving the post, moving the dollars? Is that correct?
Yeah, and so
hers it was this
on
one.
my version, it's scenario 1.
Scenario
I
one.
don't think it's their scenario 1.
Yeah.
Um,
Was it?
But I'm not tied to those dollar amounts. That's just what we looked at in
Okay,
23.
but you're leaving the COLAs 1, 1.5, and 2,
Yes.
correct? Okay, I just making sure. I mean, yeah, so,
I don't know if those dollar amounts are appropriate or not appropriate. I just like the idea of looking at the structure of the tiering.
I mean,
Yeah, are they just arbitrary dollar amounts or do they actually correspond?
well, that would be interesting to know,
That's
you
the
know,
question we need to
what
figure
our
out.
average pension is. Do you know what the average pension check is, or yearly? You may not, it's, you know,
I don't.
anecdotally, I
I'll
would,
just tell you that
I would
right
say
now.
it's
I have
probably,
no idea. I would have to run a query.
yeah,
Can we
it's probably 50 or
add the
higher.
scenario and then come back with the information to put in the dollar amounts later?
I'm
think
I'm
it's-
sorry, I got lost here. What are we talking about?
So we're talking about option 2 on that, what was ran previously, not on that number, what's on that.
But are you,
Like hers doesn't, if you like those numbers, I think, so.
it's
That's
just
Aaron's-
moving the annual income.
I'd be following guys.
And
They'd be
so-
like, would you stop that?
We-
Don't listen.
No.
No.
See, it's too much work, I don't even.
I was,
Yeah,
Tom.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, yeah, let's,
This one?
I'm trying to find
it
a.
was the best.
No.
I think hers are
Scenario.
different.
Hers is 1, ours is 2.
Yeah, on the thing that was ran in 23, it's option 2. But what Aaron's saying is those numbers they're not actually the gospel. Like you all can modify those numbers, but they'd like to know what the average salary is now of a current pension, which we don't know.
To give a frame of reference.
To give a
for-
firm,
Well,
to
even-
kind of decide what that range looks like.
Just the
Like if
average
you're,
salary.
like, looking, pulling up numbers, I'd like to see the bottom
The average,
quarter, bottom third,
Well,
that way we can set a range, like,
obviously, we now
I don't
have
know,
time
but I don't
because
know
we're
the
not gonna
numbers.
be, you know, we're
That's
gonna
what I
have
was
to
gonna
wait for the experience study and then all that, so.
But I mean, if we're tied to these 3, but yet maybe tweaking the scenario 2 thing with additional data regarding average salary and thirds.
quarters, whichever one.
I mean, we could
Quarters,
do- we could do fifths
thirds.
if you want.
She'd love to. She actually just couldn't wait for you to ask.
What is a
I can tell.
realistic number of scenarios to have run? I mean,
I
assume you have
prefer-
to pay for,
We have to pay
I
for
mean,
all
we
of
have to
them.
pay for them. So, I mean, I just thought that at least 3 different ones would work. I mean, if you're gonna send 5 or 6, I mean, that's just, to me, is a lot.
And it also gets to be confusion, you know.
But last
We-
time what was it, in 23, we had like 5 different subjects and we sent
Yeah.
like
Three things for
3 each one.
Mm-hmm.
And we budgeted 10,000 and then like, so we ran that and then we could put them all together and run a number or something, if I remember right, and that all cost
These
10,000.
scenarios are gonna be run
So-
attached to.
Yeah, normally it's
structural
about
pension
10,000
change
now.
Scenarios that have already been discussed.
I was saying,
So that's-
if
I mean,
one
we're-
runs
it's gonna be a
one,
nine.
In the grand scheme of things.
one
It's gonna be
area,
quite a bit.
It
$10,000,
really
we
needs to be
run
10
20
because
scenarios,
one of them should
10,000.
probably be the current one.
Pretty much.
You know, plus all these.
I mean, I don't
units.
have any problem, like, if my 1 to 3 is, you know, what's the 2%, what's the 3%, what's the 4%, you know, what's the 5%?
I think that's probably, I mean, that's,
I mean,
That's
we
kinda
could,
what I
we
wrote
could
down
run a
as your
0, we
option,
could
like
run a
this
0
is- yeah,
to 3 if that's what you really want.
Hmm?
Like, so we could run your 0 to 5 or 1 to 5 and we can run a 0 to 3. You can add that in there.
Yeah, you know,
Huh?
so the.
So 1 to 5, and then a 0 to 3.
Yeah.
So if 0.5%, $66 million more, by your thought, we're willing to add 400 million to go 3?
Well, I'm just giving a different option. I'm just telling you
Yeah.
1 and 5.
I think you should,
Look at it?
well, I mean, my thought would be just for everyone to kind of come to a decision on,
yeah, I wanna barrel this down
like, is that
to
something
where we
you'd be
don't
willing to
have
pass?
this
Say yes or no.
happening again.
You're
We'll
not-
have
so I-
what 3
Why was that?
scenarios, we may end up tweaking those
Well, it
a
sounds like I
little
got
bit,
4
but
now.
let's get it, or 4, or well, whatever it
You
is,
need to
four
just
four
remember this,
scenarios.
Because
What are our scenarios that you have, Susan?
I have 1 to 5% tied to the CPI. I have 0 to 3 tied to the CPI. 13th check, continue with the existing COLA structure. And then I have scenario, well, your scenario 1, 2023 was scenario 2, which was leaving the COLA at 1, 1.5, 2, but changing the annual benefit portion, which that's not you're wanting to come back with what the average salary and trying, that's a big word, trying
Just a
to
thought.
do the in thirds.
They want to do the tiered, they're doing the tiered method,
but
the
like,
scenario
we
two,
need
but
to
they
know
wanna
what
know
number we're
what
dealing with.
salary
Like,
range to put
40,000
in that
on
before they
these
send
people
it.
ain't worth
Yeah.
That's the point of
That's
running
what
the
I'm
stat.
concerned.
stat.
That's
Right,
what I
and
wanna
that's-
know the number.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
gonna have to be some tweaking.
Yeah, well, the
Or-
average, but remember, like.
Okay.
1 to 5
The
is
average is
0
gonna
to
be.
3.
All right, what is the consensus of the committee? Those four,
I'm okay with those four.
so,
I'll have to ask.
everybody that's in favor of those four,
Something
please
like that.
raise your hand that are in the committee.
Sure. I'll raise my hand.
Okay, passes. All right, so we'll have to meet again
Send it to the nerds.
once we get this information, okay?
Which information?
Yeah, the
The
salary ranges.
Okay. Well, we've asked for a lot of information.
We
average
won't be able to run
salaries
any of
and,
this until after we get the experience study back at the end of the year. So this will not even be able to go to Callan until, or CAPMAC until
First
the
of
first of
next
the year.
year.
Okay.
yes, absolutely. So,
Okay.
so we will meet again. When do y'all want to meet again?
Oh no, last
I
time we
think-
settled this, we had some.
I think what we're going to
We'll
need
check
to
with this
come
guy.
back to is a flow chart of what
Scenarios.
pieces we want with what.
Mhm.
Because
It's
the
all beginning
unfunded
to be-
liability piece is going to matter if it's a 10-year or a 20-year, with the COLA piece, with the 13th check piece, with all of those different things. All of that is going to matter in their calculations. If the 2043 doesn't change and then you apply a 13th check or a COLA or a, whatever, do you know what I'm saying? There's
Needs to be
going,
a
it's
package.
going to look like a matrix, I would think,
Like, if we pick this,
yes,
this, and this. If we
Right.
pick this one, this, and this.
exactly.
Okay,
I get you.
all right.
It's,
So I
it's a major
Jane,
flow
but
chart.
could we just say, whatever, it doesn't matter.
So we need a full legislative subcommittee
Okay.
meeting, not
Okay.
just a COLA one, it sounds like.
Oh, no,
If
we're done
everybody's
with.
in
Yeah.
agreement to that, then we will entertain a motion to adjourn to the next meeting.
So moved.
This is.
All in favor? Got it.
Oh.
Okay.
We got 45 minutes. I budgeted this till noon.